Hello there and welcome in a new game. This game, I think it went pretty interesting, for my opinion. I got to chase um, a new approach today, and I'll let you join in on the review of the game. Um, the start of the game is quite textbook, I think, or at the very least, I wouldn't feel more comfortable with other starting positions than this ones. Maybe in the future I'll feel more uh, rebellious and try new kind of openings. He goes here for quite an interesting aggressive approach. Though I'm gonna be honest, I looked a little bit on the review previously, and I know that a good move would be to move this pawn here so I can kick the bishop back, and I also develop more my pawns. But instead, I chose to move defensively the bishop and open it up to an eventual trade if he's up for that. He then moves to protect his bishop in case I took it with mine, but it was already protected by the horse. Maybe he was foreseeing that I might go for the pawn afterwards then. Well, anyway, I moved to double threat the bishop. He moves to attack instead of defend, and here I get an idea on how he plays. He's more of an aggressive player, which kind of my play style. I rather be aggressive when I can and defensive when I have no clue in my head what exactly I'm going to do. Then he moves on to develop his this horse and probably prepare for a castle. So I just to do the same. He moves into defend probably from a move of my horse. I didn't plan to do it yet anyway. So I just castle before him. He does the same. And then here I'm thinking, how should I move forward with this? And then I develop my horse as well, just the same way he did. Um, then he moves in to move his pawn and solidify his middle even more. I decide to protect in the same way that he did, and I said, okay, let's mirror his move because I have no idea. I have no plan here on how to develop. The horse can't go there, and if I'm moving here, then there's not gonna be much that I can do on that side. And on here, I just couldn't see exactly what I could develop further into. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna mirror his move and see exactly what he's planning. Here I'm just going on his hands and see if he's going to expose himself more, because every move I'm thinking that also strengthens your position, but it can also weaken yours. So I'm just moving with his pathway and see where it leads me. And here I see an opportunity to trade moves. I'm like, okay, the board seems to be we both went into defensive mode, so let's try and clear up and see where all of this lands us. Um, Maybe it's not the best approach or like smartest way to go about things, but at least at the level that I feel like I'm right now, clearing the board a bit allows me to see strategies more clearly. And if at the end of the trades I do manage to be at the very least in a more advantaged position than when I began, even if we didn't end up winning material, I think it's worth doing. Here we exchange pieces. He eventually takes the last horse, and then the initiative is on me. And for that, I decide to move with the pawn here. And here the game considers it is a mistake that because the queen can go back, and then eventually I expose my pawns. So I just wanted to chase the queen out. I didn't think that like this is the best move or something like that because then I thought that I can move with the rook to protect the pawn if there's anything that might threaten it. And then here I see that he actually moved his queen in this position, so he is leaving me to just advance once. Is it? I thought like maybe he's baiting me here with the pawn so he can get a free pawn for material and get one over me. So I decided to move the rook and be mindful of my pieces and have them protected. and he decided to move the horse here, which at the first I was concerned. I was, what is he trying to do exactly? Is he trying to threaten the bishop? Does he have a plan that I don't have in mind? Maybe with the queen somewhere. I wasn't sure. Anyway, I didn't like him sitting over there, so I just said, okay, let's clear it. I already have something in mind. Um, and then he decides to eat with a pawn. I'm not sure that like I was thinking maybe he's going to take it with the queen so I can move the pawn and then have the rook again threaten the queen out of position, um, since this pawn would have been protected by the queen. But nevertheless, he took it with the pawn, so that my previous plan with the pawn is going to continue to work, right? And I was like, okay, so now he's going to live with the queen somewhere and perhaps develop his pieces further. Uh, but he decides to stay here. And then I'm like, okay, then I'm going to continue to pursue the queen if you're gonna let it expose like that. So I decide to threaten it again. And here on, honestly, I would have more expected it to go somewhere on a black square, so I cannot threaten the queen with a bishop anymore, and so he can start developing his pieces more. And he decides to move here, which I'm already prepared for, and this opens me up to a possibility of grabbing the rook. Obviously, I'm not going to pass it up, so yeah, you either give me the rook or you give me the queen. Obviously, nobody's going to give you the queen, so I go for the rook, then the bishop, and I'm like, okay, fine. He's gonna save the rook, but I took the bishop for free. So my win. I moved back to have the pawn defended, and now I'm thinking, what exactly do I want to do? I could move the rook here and attempt to grab this pawn, but this one is more free. I don't need two moves, and then I can develop to take this one if the queen moves, depending on where he goes. Um, yeah, and basically since I've started to win material, I'm not thinking yet at the end game, and maybe this is something that I should do more actively. Maybe I could have also moved this rook and tried to play it in this way, maybe, so then I can take it. I can take the pawn here, or maybe just move the rook here and then have after taking the pawn somehow having the queen here somewhere and then delivering the final blow. But he decides to move his pawn forward since, well, this kind of helps me even more because like I can check from multiple angles. Well, not right now anyway, but since he moved that, then this pawn, well, it's mine. It's free. Um, and then yeah, I can move here with the queen or the bishop to threaten the king, and I'm already up in material, so I can trade equal pieces, and I'm still gonna be on the advantage side. I'm not really sure how he thought to do this. Maybe he saw that I'm doubling on this pawn. My idea was to move with the rook here, not with the queen. Even if he takes, then I still win the game. Yeah, I still the exchange. I win the exchange, and then I planned to have the queen move here while the rook stood here, so I can threaten that checkmate that I was just talking about. I'm starting to think about it, but yeah, the execution, yeah, still work in progress. But even if I can't take the pawn, I can threaten the queen. Like this entire win of the material that happened until now happened because I was chasing the queen. And I'm like, okay, fine. If he doesn't know how to protect his queen, but he wants to protect the queen so much, then I'm just going to continue chasing it and see what I win. What more is in store for me, honestly. And here on, if they move the queen like this, then I win the pawn. If they try to take it, then I still win the material, as long as they don't move here or something of the like. And for a brief second, I actually thought I'm gonna steal this pawn, but this rook was very menacing. And I'm glad I actually paid attention because in some other days of my past, I would have just seen the pawn and I'm like, yep, free meal. But no, it wasn't. Well, it could be obvious for most people, but like I'm saying, in previous days, I would have oversold that part. Now he moves pretty nicely here for himself because he still can protect this pawn. And if I try to do an exchange, then I'm gonna be the one that loses out. So I decide to steer things a bit and check the king. Um, I thought that with the queen here in the middle allows me for more movement. Um, and right now this pawn kind of plays a little bit in his favor, to be honest, because I was planning to move the bishop here. If it wasn't the pawn there, then I would have forced him to do this move on his own. But well, it still stands like this. And then I'm thinking, what else can I do here? Because he's in a pretty, I mean, I'm defended, but I wasn't sure how he can make a comeback. Right now, he needs at least one move, so I am free to do that. But like I said, I went back to the initial strategy, and that was chase the queen. See where that gets me. He goes back, and then I'm like, okay, well, free pawn. You thought I'm gonna go here? No, I took the free pawn. I paid attention, then now I can eat this for free. And he decides to threaten my queen, which is honestly a good move. For a second, I actually almost thought about like, just taking the pawn, but obviously that would be very stupid. So I had two plans here. I either move here and I trade queen for queen, or I just move in to defend the pawn that would be left unprotected if I go too far with the queen. So I just, okay, let's protect the small guy. We need the small guys. I don't know how to utilize them fully yet. For example, right here, I'm thinking right now that instead of moving the pawn here, I think that maybe I should have moved these pawns and starting to build up pressure with them in order to expose weaknesses. Um, but that's maybe in the future. So I'm moving to defend the pawn. He decides to press on, knowing that I can't take the pawn, otherwise it would be a check. So I'm thinking, well, if he can't take it with the queen, because I'm gonna take it with the other pawn, so what do I do? Well, monkey brain sees queen, monkey brain wants to chase the queen. Who doesn't want to chase queens? That would be uh, a pondering question that might bring a lot of troubles to a lot of people, probably. So he moves in his own base, and then I'm thinking, now I can technically take this pawn and bait the queen, or I can threaten the queen here and have this rook moved because I can also protect it with the queen. Now, in hindsight, maybe I think this would have been a better move here to also threaten the pawn, but like somehow in my mind I was thinking, nah, I don't want to make him believe that that's exactly what I'm aiming for ultimately, because all this time I still have had this in mind, but it was well protected, as you can see. And he moved it here, which means it's still protected. Honestly, if it moved it anywhere else, I would have just pursued it. Um, so I decided to move here because it's protected. And I'm like, maybe he doesn't notice is that the queen protected, and maybe he feels like he's cornered or something, and he's gonna take the rook, and then I win the game with a mistake instead of like doing this. I don't think it's inherently wrong. Well, let me see the analysis. Uh, what if I would have done this? Would have been best? Yeah, it's considered best apparently. But this one too. But this is 560, and this one was 611. Okay. Um, yeah. Anyway, he moves in here to protect the queen, so I decide to continue. So for here, I had like an idea. Maybe I could check the king. But then I didn't know exactly where that's going to lead me or if that's going to be a good move for me. I'm actually curious what he thinks is the best. Actually, exactly Nah, it's not what they did. I even forgot what they played 20 minutes ago. Yeah, I thought I'm gonna do this, but I end up checking and then I end up doing this. Seems like this one was considered the best. Oh, yeah, actually, yeah, because it can't do this. Okay, and it put me in a higher advantage because there need to be a check from his side and then another check. Right. Oh yeah, and then I move back and I threaten the queen with a check. Yeah, and I take the queen. Ah, damn. I haven't. Yeah, I didn't see that. Okay. Hmm. Where would you take the pawn? Just save the rook. Yeah. Anyway. Hmm. This is a great thing to notice because he went there instead of going here. I could have gone here and eventually win a queen. Hmm. Okay, that's something to have in mind. But yeah, here basically I was continuing to chase the queen. He moves pretty well there. Uh, okay, I ended up doing the best move here. I was curious if there's anything better to do. Um, it's kind of seeing what could have been the worst moves. He takes the rook here. Um, I decide to take the pawn that was there because the bishop here is protected. Um, who's the best? Eh, me. Okay, then what? Hmm. Anyway, seeing some moves in there. Uh, okay, he moves in here, and I move to defend the king. He decides to take the pawn. I decide to check the king with the rook instead of the queen. Because I knew that honestly, this pawn here is really making my life hard right now, and I can't move this one anymore to checkmate. He moves forward, obviously. Then I move the pawn forward. I'm like, whatever he's going to do, he can't checkmate me in one move. So it all comes down to him defending these two squares. And he decides to do it. Basically, what I was going to say, like he needs to protect these squares and also check my king. And I'm like, okay, I'm in danger now. If I moved here, I would have been in a real pickle. No, actually, no, I can't move. My bad. If I moved this one, I would have been in a real pickle because with that move, I would have to. I'd be checked here, and I would have only these two as moves, basically, to go with, and then he could have took the bishop because it wasn't protected by anything. Um, no, to be fair, now I'm seeing I could have just as well come with a rook here. Anyway, if I would have done that, went into defense mode, um, and yeah, that would have put me. No, this one couldn't be, so only this one. With this one as a check, and then would have taken with the rook here, and then I would be forced to go here, I suppose. Anyway, it would have been a perilous position for me. So I decided to move here because it's what I can defend it way better. Now he checks me, and I know that if I do this, I can buy at least two more moves because there's nowhere it can go to check my king. There's absolutely no way he can do that in one move. So I decide to um, hmm. Oh yeah, I forgot it because I moved here. So like yeah, he needs to play basically in two moves, and it seems that the computer knows that this is a mistake. Obviously, moving here, he wants to pressure me and checkmate me, most probably, but he left his king unattended. Surely this one is protected, but this one is not. So right now I'm seeing these possibilities. I go here, I check the king. He can only buy some time with his queen, but I'm gonna eventually just take it. And if I take it, then the check is again. on a problem. And he moves the pawn here, and then I just need to get out of this position and checkmate the king. If he doesn't, if I go here and he does the bad move to move the pawn instead of the queen here, then I would just move. Hold on a second. I'm a bit sloppy with these arrows. I just move here and it's checkmate. So interesting mistake on his part. Probably just have been the best for not allowing me to develop further, I suppose. Um, but he ended up doing a mistake in the end, so I take advantage of this. I check the king. He moves the pawn, which is an accuracy, and well, basically ends the game. Um, yeah, I think I've left myself a little bit too exposed on this side. I really like what I've seen on this angle with the bishop. Let me see, where was it? Way further in the future. Uh, More so. 1 second. After I check the king, I think. No, I think it was before. Hmm. I kind of lost sight of it, to be honest. Let me see. Check. Okay. All right. Ah, there. Here. I'm sure here it was. So here it would have been this one. He can't take it because the queen is pinning it. Then this is the only move that he can make. Then I check it. Then he goes here. Then I threaten the queen. Then he needs to move again. I eat it, and then free queen plus 12 material. Fantastic move. Um, and yeah, I think that from here on I would just try to do some. I don't know why this is considered to be a good move. Maybe because it's threatening this one. I'll personally just do this. This best. Yeah, even better. I don't understand why it thinks it's a good idea to sacrifice the rook over there. Uh, +8. And if I go with this, still +8. Yeah, I have no idea why it thinks it's good to sacrifice the rook. Ah, yeah, because it's protected. All right. Yeah. Thank you for watching. See you tomorrow. It was a fun game for my part.